Hey guys, it's RC again, back with our Bullbound college football tutorial series. Sorry the last one got cut a little short, had some real life issues to deal with. So we are back at it here. We were working on redshirting players, and let's see, we had gotten through to defensive tackle, if I remember correctly. Okay, we had redshirted the two inside linebackers. Outside linebackers, you have to have 4. Cornerbacks. Again, this is a skill position. I like to double check special team skills, and Montgomery is not a good special teams player, so we will cut him if we can, and we are. So we have our 5 there, not a very good group. And safety, you have to sort by position. So you've got 3 frees, 3 strongs. And let's see if I can redshirt him. Yes, I can. I wonder if I could cut him. No, you have to have 3, but you can redshirt them. So I'm not going to waste a redshirt on Hummel. I'm just going to cut him next season. Hopefully. Kickers, I've got 2. Punters, I've got 2. Usually my backup. This is one thing. Your kicker and punter, to my knowledge, never get hurt. They can flunk out, but typically they have some of the better GPAs on the team, and but they never get hurt. To my knowledge, I have never seen in the thousands of seasons that I've played in this game, I have never seen a kicker or a punter get hurt. So I don't worry about the quality of my second player. I recruit my starter. I usually take a walk-on as my backup, and then maybe the last season I'll try to recruit another guy. But this is also a position where you typically will lose a lot of them if they're quality to transferring to another school. All right, so after we've done that, we've redshirted our players, so we'll come back through. Setting your depth charts, I recommend doing a suggest and then going back and fine-tuning it. Maybe you don't want that fourth receiver listed there, so you just right-click and get him off. We'll save those changes. And what we're doing here, you're missing players. Okay, so like cornerbacks, I may not want that last guy there. You know, if you don't play all your players 100%, then you run the risk of all of those players listed in the depth chart playing. So take out the ones that you don't want, and that gets us through all of our red shirts. We looked at a couple of position changes, and we're going to go ahead and advance through this. It'll advance to the regular season. Now, in the regular season, so we'll pick up here. Basically, you will want to go down this checklist every week. So check your email. Well, we don't have any. These were the transfers from last week. If you have a home game, now remember, we scheduled Virginia on the road this week. We'll come back to this screen. If you have a home game, in your email, you will have 3 emails to set up a home visit, to bring in a recruit to visit your campus. You can only choose one. So when you have home games, all you're going to do is click on that email. It will give the pop-up down here as far as the player, the information, and it will give you take action. So whichever one you click on and then click take action, that will set the visit for that player. Once you've chosen one, you can't change it. So be very careful when you do that, but don't miss that opportunity, because that will give you a slight boost to the odds of recruiting that particular player. Not a guarantee, but a slight boost. Okay, so we have no other emails. You can check out the award watch list if you want. So here you have the Davey O'Brien Award, our quarterbacks on the list of people up for that award in the preseason, which, as we know in real life, means absolutely nothing. We just did our depth chart, so I don't need to redo it again. But if you're in an online league, you would want to redo this or recheck it every week. Now, one thing that jumps out at me we will want to do, I only have 2 tackles. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to play a player out of position. I'm going to go look at my guards. And Fuller, because he's the best, I'm going to go ahead and add him as a third string tackle. And then I'm going to save that change. You typically want at least 3 players listed. If you don't have 3 and you suffer an injury, it can cause the game to crash or freeze up because you don't have a full depth chart. Same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and put, just for safety's sake, I'm going to put Dobson, the defensive end. I'm going to put him in at my 4-3 defensive tackle. I am playing a 4-3, not a 3-4, so I'm not worried about this one. And I'm not going to worry about my safety either. Now, one thing I don't want is I don't want this cornerback playing at all, or my nickel. So I'm going to take them out and only go 3 deep at that depth chart. Special teams. The big thing, there's a lot about the game. It's unusual. In a text-based game, you really don't know every little nuance and what every little thing does. You can only guess at some of it. We don't know the coding, so we don't know exactly how it transpires in the game, and that's actually a good thing. That's what keeps the game fresh and from being, you can't go 12 straight undefeated seasons in it. But typically in the special teams, I like to look for their aggressiveness. That's just their wanting to get downfield and smoke somebody. So I might go through and change out these guys in the 40s and try to find somebody higher up in the 60s or 70s to replace them in the depth chart. Kicker's pretty self-explanatory. Long snapper, you actually have a rating for that here. So even though this guy is a red, he's actually our best long snapper. Same thing for your holder. You're looking for hands. So like this guy has a 2, not very good. I'm going to bump him up and save that. Again, anytime you save on a screen, before you leave that screen, make your save. And then your punt return and kick return, we already looked at. You have the special teams and you can see their rating. So he's got a 90 in kick return, but he wasn't a very good punt returner. That's why you don't see him listed here. The game is pretty smart as far as putting depth charts in. I use suggest pretty much all the time, with a few exceptions, some of my skill positions, or if there's a particular play that I like to run or plays that I like to run where I do want to focus on a particular player. So I'm going to save just to make sure I did. And we're going to get out of that. Now, in your default, you have a normal, which is a balanced attack, pretty balanced as far as running and passing, and everything has to equal 100%. You have inside run, so your inside run is more heavily weighted than your outside run, so that's between the tackles, but your passing is still prevalent. Outside run is the reverse. You run more to the outside rather than between the tackles, but you still pass the ball. And then you have your passing, so you pass more than you run, but it's still a good mixture of outside against inside running. So those are your 4 default options. If you change it, now you can hit suggest, and it will change it, and it will save it right here, used for this week's game. If you do not click that, then it will not use that. So you have to change, anytime you change it, if you want that, you have to click that. And then save changes here. Always hit save before you leave the screen. Playing time. There's different opinions here. I have some owners that I know play all their starters 100% of the time. And I use suggest and see what it balances out, and then I'll play my quarterback typically 100% of the time, and maybe you can see like your better lineman may play 80%. If you have a couple of guards like we do, it may only be 60%, so that third string guard will see a lot more action during the game. Fullback 50%, so the starter's only going to play about half the snaps in the course of the game. So you can go in, once you've done this, you can go in and change these. So if I want him to be at 85 and I want that to be at 65, you can do that and then save your changes. The maximum field goal range that your kicker will try. If you've got a great field goal kicker, you may want to raise it. If you've got a poor field goal kicker, you may want to reduce it. This is something you'll want to look at week in and week out, see what distance your kicker's hitting from, where he's missing from, and adjust that accordingly. Sometimes in my leagues, my kicker will default to 58. It'll default to 58. But he may only hit 30% from that range, so I'll knock that down manually to 52 or 53, for example. And for reference, 58-yard field goal is the longest field goal I have ever had a kicker make for any of my teams, and that's all I can speak to. I haven't looked at records for any other team, but 58 is the longest I have ever seen made. So I want to go with a normal. And there's my playing time. And then you do the same thing for your defense. You can choose between normal, heavy pass, which is a lot more nickel and dime, or run, where you'll play your base package, your 4-3 or your 3-4, and focus more on getting an extra man in the box. Again, suggest, see what it does there. Now, all starters playing time. If you've got it changed and then you decide you want to change it, and it can be any number. Let's say I want to put 90%. So I'll change that, then I'll hit save, and it will give me this warning, and I'll hit yes, and then look, everybody changed to 90. But I don't want that, so I'm going to change it back here. Oh, I have to change that to 0. All right, or to dash, and I think changing screens would get that to default back too. Now, we'll come back to these two probably in the next episode. I think we'll want to go into a little more depth there. We can monitor our recruits. So these are the high school players that are interested in Michigan this year by all region. You can break it down by individual regions. Again, everything's color-coded as well. So red, you have no shot of landing these players. Blue and green. Blue is a good shot, a great shot. Green is a good shot. Orange, not so good. So we've got a couple of guys here at the top level that we might get. But if we go down and look by the Great Plains, because that's where we spent most of our recruiting, we've got a lot of non-interest until we get down into the 350 range. And even then, it's not very consistent. Now this will change during the year. Again, this is just week one, taking a look at that. You can check out the polls, where everybody's ranked. Georgia's the number one team in the country for this season. And I think we're going to go ahead and stop here. I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording. I want to spend the next episode going over strategies and playbooks, which is of utmost importance for people, it seems. So we'll spend a little bit more time on that. So thanks for tuning into this edition, and see you next time.